headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.
What do you actually want to achieve? What's the purpose of your protests?
So we are demanding that the UK government stop investing in new fossil fuel projects.
Okay, and why?
Because last year the International Energy Agency, have you heard of them, Julia?
Yes, thank you ever so much for asking.
Yeah. No worries. The International Energy Agency said in May 2021 that we can't have any new fossil fuel projects if we have a chance of staying below 1.5 degrees. This is one of the many reasons. I've got a few others I can.
So you mean staying below us, the temperature's increasing by 1.5 degrees since the Industrial Revolution, since 1880. Yeah, I'm up to speed. Don't worry, Xandy. Okay. You say that, I mean, it's all very well. You will clearly very much be in favour of the net zero target of 2050. In fact, you probably think it's too late and we should achieve it sooner. I know a lot of people at Extinction Rebellion, Insulate Britain and others think that. But what do you propose we use for energy to light our homes and heat our homes and run our cars and make sure that factories working to produce things and we can have tractors to harvest food? What do you propose we use instead?
So I'm 17. I'm not an energy expert. I'm not an economist. But the solutions, they are out there. And when I hear the kind of information that there is, like the IPCC Sixth Assessment Report, there's another report of that coming out today. When I hear about these things, they terrify me as a 17-year-old. I know that there are many people out there who know the solutions, but I'm 17, so... No,
I understand that. I mean, I'm as a mum, I'm really, really saddened that you are terrified, because I don't believe there is anything to be terrified about, and I'm really angry at the people who've terrified you, because there has never been a better time to be alive than today, other than tomorrow, which is going to be even better. Even with war in Ukraine, even with global warming, this is still the best time ever to have been a human being and been alive on this planet. And it really saddens me that you feel terrified about your future.
Young people between the ages of, I think it's 16 to 24, one of their main concerns is climate change. Is your daughter, I know that she's 15, is she concerned about this at all? She's not much older than, she's not much younger than me.
Her political views are her political views. I don't think she's wildly concerned, because
is she scared?
Absolutely not scared. I wouldn't bring up my child to be scared of the world. No.
So is she not scared of the recent IPCC report that came out?
No.
I've got a quote from it. Do you mind if I read it?
Go for it. Yes. How long? It depends how. Keep it short.
It's quite short. The IPCC. This is from the Sixth Assessment Report. It came out on the 28th of February. So the last line is, I've got it here. Any further delay in concerted anticipatory global action on adaptation will miss a brief and rapidly closing window of opportunity to secure a livable and sustainable future for all. Now, obviously, that sounds quite dramatic, but that is the IPCC report, which has been backed up by most, I think, if not all, governments on this earth. So if something as big as that is kind of saying this, as a 17-year-old, I'm terrified. I don't know the solutions. I'm not an expert, but... No,
and I really appreciate you saying that. I do understand, and I can understand why you've been terrified into thinking that. I think in 50 years' time, when the world hasn't sort of, we're not living on deserts and all animal life hasn't dissolved, and we're actually living really nice, happy lives across the planet, and more and more people have enough food and water and freedom and are living better quality lives because of industrialisation and energy. I think you'll go, gosh, that strange old lady on the radio was probably right and I was wrong. And I hope you're not so terrified that you will have perhaps had children yourself and enjoyed a happy life. But when you say,
so do you not believe that? Do you not have faith that what the IPCC report?
I don't need to believe or have faith, because I've done an awful lot of research on this, and I think that would be something that's people...
So you don't believe the IPCC? Is that what you're saying?
It's not a question of believing them. Their statements are not backed up by enough fact to make them trustworthy. I think you know what, Xandy,
all across the world.
Xandy, I have a funny feeling that there are an awful lot of things that governments say that you wouldn't believe, but when they say something, when they back an IPCC report, that you then decide to believe is true. What's that?
This is backed up by climate scientists all across the world.
Actually, there are plenty of climate scientists who say different. And it's not about who says what. It's about the data and the evidence. Even the world is warming. The world has been warmer previously. Whether or not it is a result entirely or partly or not at all of human beings, why do you think it's going to be a climate disaster? That means it's something that you should be terrified about, and that you should want people to not be able to heat their homes and light their homes, and for third world countries to industrialise and for people to have better lives. Why do you think it's so bad?
Well, I would like to still go back to the fact that you don't have faith in the IPCC report.
Nothing to do with faith.
I find that really concerning. I'm not sure why you don't.
They haven't produced enough data to make it convincing.
What, so 35 pages, I believe, is the summary.
Well, if it's 35 pages, well, if it was 36, I'd believe it.
But there's about, I don't know, like 100. There's about 100 pages that's written over 6 years. Like, how is that not?
There are actually thousands of pages of scientific evidence.
What is going to make you admit to yourself? Like, I don't know if you're like scared, because it is really terrifying.
No,
or do you just not understand? Like,
I do understand it, and I'm not scared because I understand it. Can we come back to? I know we're really late on time, but we got to you late, and I do want to ask you. You said you don't know what the alternatives are to us not using oil and gas.
Renewables.
Renewables, yes, but we can't store energy from wind and solar power at the current time. We don't have the battery storage, and all of the experts. You and I aren't experts. We both accept that, but the experts have been very clear that we are realistically, we are decades away and billions and billions and billions of pounds of investment away.
We need an emergency response right now.
Zanti, don't just.
But we need
Zanti,
to start right now.
Zanti, darling.
That's what we're demanding.
we're not just spouting platitudes. We're having a conversation about actual facts.
Yeah.
Okay, so that doesn't work with me. I'm not interested in that stuff. It's a slogan on a T-shirt. It doesn't mean anything. I want to know, given that we are years and decades away from actually having alternative supplies of reliable fuel, so we can make wind, we can make solar power, but we can't store it. And so if the wind doesn't blow and if it's at night, we don't have storage of that. We need to have backups of nuclear, gas, oil, or whatever it is. What do you prefer us to have as the alternative if you don't want us to have gas or oil? Or do you want us to sit in the dark and the cold? Because those are the choices.
Do you realise how quickly the government responded to the coronavirus pandemic? They can respond quickly to emergencies. If we start now, if the UK government just stop oil, if they stop investing in new fossil fuel projects, then we can start now.
Well, stopping doing something is much easier than actually developing. If we don't actually have the battery power, do you think it is better that we sit in the cold and the dark some of the time than it is that we carry on using oil and gas?
Well, it's a stupid question. Of course I don't want anyone to freeze.
Okay, but I'm saying that's the choice if you don't want us to invest in oil and gas and we don't have enough battery storage for the renewables that we both will be very happy to have us to rely on, but if those are not reliable and they're not constant and we can't store them, then when you say don't invest in oil and gas, what will happen as a direct result of that? I'm assuming you're against nuclear as well, yeah? You're opposed to nuclear?
Agree, Julia?
No, answer my questions. Yes. Are you opposed to nuclear as well? Right.
Yes,
so you're choosing for us to sit in the cold and the dark?
Response right now. Do you agree? Because if you do, then this conversation is going to be really useful. If you don't agree that we need an emergency response now, then
we don't need an emergency response now because it's not an emergency.
Well, then clearly you're not listening to the IPCC report. Julia, I know that you have a degree at Oxford University. I would have thought that you might have at least understood the IPCC report, to be honest.
I do understand it. Can you answer my question, though? I really want to leave it. We're late to the news, but I want to show respect to you answering my question. Do you, yes, if the choice is, and it is, sitting in the cold and the dark and not being able to have factories running, and by the way, massive damage to people in the third world because they need to develop their economies, and not having the oil and gas because we haven't got battery storage for renewables, are you happy with that's the outcome? We'll end up sitting in the cold and the dark. Are you happy with that outcome or not?
Renewables, we need to implement them. I can't do that. I'm 17.
I know.
I don't know as much as you. But when I hear this, I'd like to have faith that the UK government are going to do this, and that's why That's why we're demanding. That's why these people, ordinary people, just like you and me, we're all ordinary people. That's why we're demanding that the UK government stop new fossil fuel. Well, yeah,
Okay, and I'm telling you what the outcome from that will be, and you're refusing to address that. You're saying it won't happen. We'll be absolutely fine. We can't store renewable energy, but we won't have gas or electricity or from gas or oil or nuclear, but we'll be just fine.
Our homes. We need free public transport. All of this will be better. It's just
slogans. Xandy, I so appreciate you coming on air, and I so appreciate you putting those arguments, and I love it when young people are political and you go, but I'm horrified that you've been scared, and I'm horrified that you haven't had the time to obviously think through some of this. Nothing that you feel strongly about should be based on faith, in my view. It should always be based on facts. But I so appreciate, so admire you. I think you're wrong. But I so admire you for having the guts to come on the radio and talk to me about it. Thank you very much.
Good talk.
Hot talk. Bold talk. Talk radio.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Watch it live on your smart TV.
The world headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.